6:31 p.m. June 30th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. Dad, Kayla, and I are at the Glacier Trail trailhead. Been worrying about this day for the whole trip, but we read in the register today that people have done this.
Well, that's not a smart move, was it?
And other people will be on the trail, so things are looking good despite all the wait and the hard climb that we have ahead. We're breaking up the initial 1,000 meters up the Arrow Pass into 2 parts, part tonight and then part tomorrow morning.
Woo! Morale is high.
Why do I love the mountains? This is a question that I have been asking myself a lot recently. Going to the mountains is often physically brutal, and it can be dangerous too. A few times I've been in what wouldn't be considered great situations out there. And yet the mountains have had this inescapable grip on me. I keep going back despite the situations I've found myself in. So I ask myself the question of why I love the mountains enough to subject myself to some of these brutal experiences. The first answer that I will always give is, because they are beautiful. The beauty of the mountains is beyond anything I have ever seen, and it's something you can't get used to, no matter how many times you go back. From the simplicity of a bright blue lake, to the complexity of the sea of peaks you view from a high summit, you will always see something in the mountains that is beyond what words can describe. Certainly this beauty was the motivation that I had when I led my first trip to summit a mountain in late August of 2016. On July 29, 2016, Julia, Craig, and I went on a hike to Healy Pass near Sunshine Village in Banff National Park. After making some questionable decisions, we ended up off-trail on the Monarch Ramparts, going towards Yohippus Lake. The Monarch Ramparts gave us beautiful views, and the off-trail concept stuck with me as well, and when looking for a trip to do with Riley and Nikki that August, I decided on an easy scramble up Fossil Mountain in the Skokie area of Banff National Park. The views from Fossil Mountain were incredible, but coming down Riley's shoes began to fall apart, and after completely deteriorating, Riley was forced to walk out 9 kilometers without shoes. I joined him in this endeavor for what I called moral support. While this was part of my reasoning, I truthfully didn't want to miss out on the experience as well. These outings with Julia and Riley opened my eyes to what can be seen in the mountains, and the kind of memories that you can make. I was eager for more.
Starting off at about 76.32 feet. Beautiful canyony area. Parking lot just down there. Only been going like 15 or 20 minutes, but the views are nice. Nice waterfall. Here's Torrey Creek, the waterfall section. Looks pretty nice. A lot of water.
So here we are. Dad just moving around the bear spray thing, and they're putting on their mosquito hats. I already have mine on. Mosquitoes are starting to come out.
Still going through lots of rocky desert-like area right now. Surprising amount of mosquitoes out, which are only really a problem when you stop. Aren't you like hot with the mosquito net down?
No.
Sun's getting lower. Probably saying goodbye for the day now. And mosquitoes are coming out. We're entering more classical forests, moving away from the desert terrain. Gotta look for some streams that will mark good sources of water so that we can camp somewhere. Also need to find a flat spot. Not looking incredibly easy to do right now.
The views are simply not enough to explain why I love the mountains. Good views can be achieved by choosing trips with less physical and mental stress, but those trips never seem to be what I'm interested in. The mountains provide a challenge, which leaves you with a sense of accomplishment upon returning home safely from your trips, and this must play into my reasoning for why I love the mountains as well. To climb a mountain requires various degrees of physical, technical, and mental prowess, and the mountains with the better views usually seem to be harder to climb. So in my quest to capture better views, I pushed for more challenge in the summer of 2017. On July 8, 2017, Julia Craig, Urban Pistek, and I summited Ptarmigan Peak in the Skokie area of Banff National Park, the mountain beside Fossil Mountain, connected by Deception Pass. Ptarmigan Peak was an interest of mine as it is slightly higher than Fossil Mountain, and the route up, though just scree, was steeper, and there is a short notch between the west ridge of the mountain and the summit. There is still lots of snow in the Rockies in early July, and the route was partially snow-covered, so we veered off the standard route onto a ledge and ascended a Class 3 cliff band. The notch was also filled with snow, and I had to kick steps down so we could descend safely. The weather this day was hot. There were extreme heat warnings in the mountains, and the temperature in Calgary was 37 degrees Celsius. On descent, we decided to check out Redoubt Lake, and Irby and I took a dip next to some floating ice. This was the most technical and physical mountain I had done to date, with the best views as well, taking more than 10 hours car to car. A great experience. 1 week later, I got my dad, Dane MacArthur, to climb Flint Peak in Glacier National Park, Montana, in a 12-hour day consisting of 35 kilometers and 1,700 meters of elevation gain, which would pull our trips together away from hiking and into scrambling. But Ptarmigan and Flint weren't enough to satisfy me, and on August 10th, 2017, Riley and I went to summit Mount Richardson, which was a cover for my true intent of climbing Pika Peak. Pika Peak is one of the hardest mountains to scramble in the Skokie area, consisting of 200 vertical meters of 3rd and 4th class terrain, bringing you to a narrow summit ridge. My parents believed that the risk of Pika was too much for my limited experience, which is why we were on paper only going for Richardson. Riley and I went up Richardson, and then down to the col between Richardson and Pika, where I left Riley and set out to scramble up Pika, solo. This was the most intense and enjoyable scrambling that I had done to date, and a fantastic way to end the summer. But Pika was no significant challenge for me. I ascended the mountain with no concerns, and although I was slower on descent, I had no real fear that I wouldn't make it. I saw that I could be doing much more, and I ended the summer hungering for adventures that would be much harder.
Okay, we have decided to set up camp either here or a bit further along this way. We hiked for a bit more than an hour and a half, and we've done almost 300 meters.
That's like pretty good, I think.
And a bit more than 4 kilometers, so we're doing not bad. Good first day. Yep. So we've chosen this as our camp spot. We've done 2.9 miles, an hour 44 minutes. We're at 85.25 feet right now. Nice water source for our camp. A tick has bit me.
This is a backcountry emergency. Okay.
And there was another different one on my sock as well.
Oh yeah,
Kayla
God,
is looking for tweezers.
Found them.
She found the tweezers.
Okay.
You just have to remove the tick now.
God, you little fucker, you little fucker. Okay, hold on. Try to get you right side up, bitch. I've never done this before. I can't tell. Oh yeah, bitch, I got you. Head. Tell me if it hurts. Motherfucker! Yeah, bitch! Okay, let's get you out of the tent! I'm sorry. Sorry, Corey. This is so exciting. Look at that bitch! Okay, ooh, look at him go! Okay. It looks like it's entirely out. Yep, a little bit of blood came out, so nothing blocking that.
Okay.
Okay, we did our first successful tick removal.
Awesome.
Poor Koi.
Okay, hanging out in the tent on night 1. Thoughts on the first day? Heavy? Yeah, heavy. That makes sense. Dad has his J-Rock hat on.
People already had to remove a tick? Oh my god.
In 2018, I aimed to fill my fantasies of adventure, planning trips that were longer, more technical, and some which would have better views. And my dad was getting into it as well. In July, we made a trip out to Peru to make a 3-day guided ascent of Pisco Mountain in the Cordillera Blanca, and an 8-day guided trek around the Cordillera Huayhuash. The trip was a truly unique experience, as an introduction to high altitude and mountaineering on the Pisco climb. Huayhuash had some unique sights, and with the slow pace of the rest of our group, I was able to break off and scramble up some short peaks, getting even better views than usual. But these views didn't compare to the sea of condensed peaks that you get standing atop the Canadian Rockies. The trip was fantastic, but being guided took away a sense of freedom that I had leading my own excursions. After 3 weeks and some stomach issues, I was ready to come home and try some of my longer trips that I had planned. Unfortunately, I only got to try one of these. On August 6, 2018, I set out with Urban Pistek and Michael Swoboda to do the trifecta. 3 mountains that I had already climbed, Richardson, Pika, and Ptarmigan. But stringing them together would create a 30-kilometer, 2150-meter elevation gain trip, with more than 9 straight hours in a world of only rock and snow. We first climbed Mount Richardson, knocking off the first 1,400 meters of elevation gain in around 4 hours. We took an excessive break at the summit to explore around.
Well, it turns out that this part wasn't as safe as... Actually, it didn't really look safe to begin with. But it turned out that that thought was correct. Why? That's flag. No worries. Flag. Yeah.
We continued on to Pika Peak, which like before was no challenge on the way up. Though not as pressed for time, I explored further along the ridge to capture alternative views and subject myself to more exposure. The descent of Pika was easy this time, due to my increased skill, and we made our way over to Ptarmigan, with hopes of taking the same ledge that Irby and I had used the year prior to spice up the usually boring route. Michael and I actually took a lower ledge though, and ended up ascending 5th class terrain to gain the west ridge of the mountain. After a long 10 hours, I was once again atop Ptarmigan, watching a storm start to roll in. It didn't last long though, and after descending the mountain we decided to run out from the halfway hut, finishing our trip in just over 13 hours. Although the trifecta went smoothly, even having wasted some time exploring on Richardson and Pika, and using an excessive 5th class route on Ptarmigan, the run out from the halfway hut really got me at least physically exhausted. I was happy. This was a huge accomplishment, but instead of this easing my hunger for adventure, it only intensified it. I would not do anything on the physical or technical scale of the trifecta for the remainder of 2018. But Michael and I set out on a trip with a different sense of adventure, traveling where people usually don't go. 1 week after the trifecta, we made an ascent of South Totem Peak on the Icefields Parkway, the 9th recorded ascent over the last 30 years or so. The area is seldom traveled to, and it felt like it, giving a sense of wonder to the trip. We continued over to Spreading Peak, which like its neighbor is not summited often. This trip turned out to be much more interesting than I had expected, with necessary route finding and amazing views. The idea of being where people usually don't travel was exciting to me. Though I loved the mountains before, it was this summer of 2018 where I really started to show an obsession with them, making ambitious plans and trying to get out as much as possible. I feel like everyone who pours a part of their life into the mountains is at some point going to dream big, and I was there.
(4:47 a.m. July 1st, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. Woke up at 4:30 a.m. and we're packing up camp. It was a pretty difficult first night. Didn't get the mosquito hat to work over the bivvy, so I had to I ended up putting my rain jacket over, and that worked real good. I was sleeping at a bit of an angle, and eventually it started raining. So, tough first night, but it will get better, probably. Wow, what a beautiful meadow. Making our way closer to the switchbacks. Dad left his food out last night, and an animal ate a hole into his food bag and into the fruit. It's just past 6 a.m. and we're getting to the switchbacks now. There are a crazy amount of mosquitoes here, but these hats work pretty good, and if you cover up, then for the most part they can't get to you. So wow, there were like 5 on my glove. Slowly gaining elevation out of the valley.
Doing the switchbacks. Still have about 300 meters.
We've been in the shade, which has been really nice. Sun is coming out though. Looks like getting above tree line. What a beautiful entry to the range. There's a wolf pack somewhere. You can hear them. That's pretty cool. There's Dad and Killa. More howling wolves. In the middle of a very nice meadow on our way to Arrow Pass. Got some thunderstorms over here.
Alright, we are slowly continuing and making our way. Coy and Dad are far ahead of me, as usual. It's pretty overcast here, so that's mildly concerning. We don't want it to rain, but it is very nice and cool, and I am digging that.
Still on the way to Arrow Pass. This slope just keeps going forever.
Hey, Kayla.
We're at 10:50, so we're almost at the pass. Very difficult to move at this elevation with a heavy pack. Very beautiful mountains. We haven't even made it into the bulk of it yet, but it's nice.
Views are already starting to open up. At Arrow Pass.
Boy's putting on lip sunscreen. We are now actually at the pass. We just get to go down the pass. To our camp, we'll probably go a little bit past what would have been technically first, second camp or whatever.
I had school in the summer of 2019, but I still got back to Calgary in August, and Michael and I attempted one of the larger trips that I had planned for 2018, Mount Ball in Kootenay National Park. From the research I had done, Mount Ball had incredible views, but it was a complete sufferfest to make the summit, consisting of an awful bushwhack up Hafner Creek, which was riddled with deadfall, followed by huge slopes of scree. Mount Ball is the most remote peak in the Scrambles in the Canadian Rockies book by Alan Kane, and usually 2 days are required to complete it. Michael and I planned to complete it in 1 day though. So on August 27th, 2019, we set out to the Marble Canyon campground. The bushwhacking was indeed difficult, and there were a lot of dead logs surrounding the creek, which were covered in frost at times, making them completely unusable. But after 2 hours or so, we were at the head wall, filling up water, a very good pace. We continued up the head wall, and continued bushwhacking for what seemed like a very long time. And then once we were almost 4 hours from the car, we could see Mount Ball, and we had gone up the wrong head wall. We continued upwards a bit further, and we gained a ridge which we decided we would try to take to Mount Ball. The ridge started off easy, although a bit loose, but it would eventually become exposed, with the need to navigate narrow ledges.
Change it. Oh no.
Oh, that's a big fucking spider. Holy shit, look at that.
Where is it?
I don't even know if a rope would help.
I don't know.
Basically just like pendulum into the fucking wall, and it would just hurt a lot.
Yeah, ropes are really heavy though. Those would really slow us down.
We wouldn't need more than one. See? Don't look down, and we did it. And don't tell my dad.
Yeah, well, don't tell my parents. Whole mountain?
No, just don't here. Maybe together we can carry it.
Yeah.
After almost 8 hours from the car, we were still hundreds of meters below the summit of Mount Ball, and we were not sure if our ridge would connect to the mountain. So we decided to call it a day, and we headed out through an alternate valley, which also had horrendous bushwhacking. But there was a trail which we made use of for the last 4 kilometers of the trip, Although we didn't summit Mount Ball, this trip was spectacular, and we were the first people to document an ascent of the ridge, which we named Quartz Ridge, after the quartz that we found on the way up. The only evidence of humans that we found during our trip on the bridge was a single ski pole. There wasn't any cairn in sight. The idea that we were the first people to document an ascent of the ridge was exhilarating, and I made a post to the Scrambling in the Canadian Rockies Facebook group, which got little attention, except for people looking for an alternative route to summit Mount Ball that would avoid the bushwhacking. They were not in luck.
It's 10:40 a.m. and we're on the move again, heading down towards all the lakes and eventually into this valley. Great cliffs of granite here.
How's it going?
Okay. Pack's heavy.
Yeah.
We've come up on some trees. Gonna take a rest. Passing through this largely dead forest with big boulders. (12:03) and we just made it to Phillip Lake. Looks very nice.
This is a lake called Phillip Lake. It is not the lake that we are planning to go to. We still have a long way to go, apparently.
Thunderstorms over there now. We're almost at Double Lake.
Here goes Koi.
Oh wow, nice lake.
Second lake, which is called Double Lake. And we're gonna cook some food.
Just made some mashed potatoes for lunch because we have the luxury of having lunch today. Dad and Kayla are gonna make mashed potatoes as well. Double Lake is really nice.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You can go.
Star Lake. Great scenery in the winds.
We are at Star Lake. Hopefully this is the last elevation we do today because we're not going up to the high camp tonight.
4 p.m. going around Star Lake. Weather has shifted again to not so good. Started raining a bit. About to head down switchbacks to view Honeymoon Lake. We're in the middle of a pretty intense hailstorm and really loud thunder. Looks like the worst of it passed over that way now though. Here's Dad and Kayla. And here's Honeymoon Lake. It's gorgeous. Honeymoon.
Honeymoon Lake. We're heading down, and then on the other side of it, a little bit lower, I think there's a big valley that we are going to stay the night.
We're on the final descent to where we'll make our camp. I'm feeling great, and we have like 600 feet left, but Dad and Kayla are not happy at all. This day is taking a lot out of them, and I don't know what's gonna happen with the trip. I hope that they're okay to keep going tomorrow. Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult to haul all our heavy stuff out after we've taken it in almost 25 kilometers. I hope they get a bit happier. I don't know what I can do to help them out. I've chose this for a camp at the end of day 2. We've gone 13.1 miles today and did like 3,000 feet elevation gain. It's been tough. Dad and Kayla are not happy. I don't know what to do, but I'm here, so I'm gonna set up the camp while they make their way down.
"2020 was the first year of the COVID, and I was back in Calgary for the entire summer, doing school online. And this summer I was going to make sure that my harder trip plans from 2018 were finally completed. The Quartz Ridge fiasco was a bit of a shock, though. Clearly some of these trips were a lot more difficult than I had anticipated, and getting lost in the bushwhacking was a kick to my ego. I was going to have to give these larger trips the respect that they deserved if I was to pull them off. I read a trip report in 2018 claiming that a single-day ascent of Cyclone, Pipestone, or Tilted Mountain would be possible for a hardcore peak bagger with a bike approach, and I planned to summit Cyclone, Pipestone, and Pipestone Tower all in a single day, without a bike approach, hence the challenge. This trip was going to be physically brutal, requiring more than 50 kilometers of travel and 2,200 meters of elevation gain. The only good news being that around 40 of those kilometers were on a trail. On top of this, the ridge between Cyclone and Pipestone had one recorded traverse that I found from 1992, which went in the opposite direction and spoke of a couple 5th class sections, one of which a rope was used on. The trip would be technical, and with the lack of information available, I was uncertain we would be able to make all 3 mountains. If we were going to complete the Cyclone challenge, we would need to be in top physical and mental shape. So in the early season of 2020, I prepared. Eventually the snow started to melt, enough for the Cyclone Challenge to be doable, and on July 20th, 2020, year 1 of the COVID, Irby, Michael, and I set out to the Skokie area, and just after 4 a.m., we were ready to start the Cyclone Challenge.
Okay, it is 4:04.
Yeah, we're late.
Yes, we're late. July 20th, 2020, year 1 of the COVID. We're just about we're just about to start the Cyclone Challenge. We're already late, so we're gonna wanna
Start running.
we're not gonna wanna run. We should be able to make up time, I think.
Like,
Okay, and it's now 4:05, and fuck, this thing is so fucking high. Tracking has started, so let's fucking get out of here.
Alright, this is it.
Just the last 2K. What were you saying, Michael?
The E word.
Yeah, what's the E word?
It's easy.
Yeah. That's the Boulder. So we made it to Boulder Pass in an hour 40 minutes. This is just too much.
Oh, baby.
Like, oh baby. Too much for our brains to handle. Look at that. Holy shit. Is that a view? Okay, we got about 2.5 kilometers or so to Deception Pass now. Just looks really cool with like the yellow and blue going through the clouds. Hey, let's get a first look at the views. Okay, yeah, you can see it. Okay, so that's Cyclone, that's Pipe Zone over there. Here is Michael with Readout and the Lake Louise Giants. Michael, it's only been like 3 hours. Okay, 2.1 kilometers to the lakes.
Oh wow, that's
That was like, it's actually, if we've only done like 15 right now, then this is faster than I thought.
I'm like done the hike in my head, you know? I'm just gonna be saying easy every 5 minutes.
Oh my
I can
god.
still walk, you know? If I can't walk, it'll be like a bit of a problem, right? But yeah, it's probably gonna be pretty rough if I don't make a call.
The evolution of
Yeah,
Michael's optimism. No, but like this one, the only information is that it's harder than it looks. That was from the guy who climbed Mount fucking St. Bride. I don't think there should be any problem on the ridge. But I'm still like a little bit concerned, like in my brain there could be a problem, you know? In your brain, like there can't possibly be any problem.
Yeah, in my brain I'm like, fuck, there's probably gonna be a problem.
Herb's like, there's definitely gonna be a problem. I'm like, there probably won't be,
like a
but it's
bear.
possible. And Michael's just like, this will be like walking on a sidewalk. Okay, we're at the Red Deer Lakes campground. Beautiful morning. Probably just gonna be a beautiful day. It's 7:44 right now. It's a camping area. Okay, I'm very excited to see the lakes. Let's see what we got. Junction, Red Deer Lakes. Red Deer Lakes, 1.2 kilometers.
I like how it keeps.
This keeps getting further. What the fuck? Like, after we cross this river, it's like 700 meters until we get to the lake.
We didn't miss it.
Well, according to the sign.
Alright, that's good. Damn, I should have filmed it. Pull it, go for it.
It's all up to me now. I know, this is really beautiful. You're gonna what?
I'm gonna go back and film it.
Okay. This is Red Deer Lakes. Oh, exactly 4 hours.
Nice.
It is 8:05. Okay, it is 8:39. 4 hours and 34 minutes in, and we are now heading towards Cyclone.
Yeah, you know what? After that break, it's pretty easy, but...
Whoa, we're back to pretty easy.
Right, but when we...
Here comes Michael with the valley between Skokie and Fossil and Oyster. Herbie is currently losing his shit with the mosquitoes.
Like, why the fuck are they up here? Where the fuck do they belong?
Grind is real. By the time we get to the top, that'll be like 1,700, maybe 1,800 meters elevation gain. Mount Hector with a nice glacier. Oh baby. Okay, that's a nice field. Six hours, 47 minutes, and it is 10:53. Oh man, not even 7 hours to the fucking summit of Cyclone. Absolute beauty. Did it. Everyone in the thing. Oh yeah, this is good, Herb. This is good stuff right here. Nice and wide as fuck. Fantastic views looking this way. Really excited to see how they turn out as we continue going this way. Also, views of the Drummond ice field. Pretty good. Michael on the slab ridge. Soon. Well, we haven't even seen the spicy food yet. Background. Don't go that way. Pardon? Yeah, it's like right there. Ledge first. Put weight on that. Okay, yeah, there's Pardon?
It's as hard as it is in your head.
to Ascension. That is easier to rest at.
Did it. Came so far. $14:49, 10 hours and 44 minutes after we started, and we are ready to start our descent. Okay, last time we're gonna get the good views this way. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Did you get soaked?
I splashed a little into my shoe.
Okay. There goes Herb. Out into Red Deer Lakes.
Oh, don't go away. Don't go away right now. Huh,
What?
it's done.
Oh. Yeah, that's unfortunate. This stuff is like probably pretty slippery. Okay, 1 kilometer to Red Deer Lakes campground, and then from there 4.8 kilometers to Baker Lake. And then from there, 7.7 kilometers to end of Skokie, and then 4 kilometers after that. $18:34. Been going 14 hours, 29 minutes. Okay, Michael, what do you have to say?
It's easy, but I have a blister on my foot.
Okay, so
Easy money.
it's still easy,
It's still easy.
basically. Okay, leaving Baker Lake. It is 18:51. Been going 14 hours, 45 minutes. Yeah, just gotta go up there and then really far out. So we're basically done. West end of Baker Lake. Boulder Pass is right over there. We are getting pretty damn close. Okay, Michael, what do you have to say about 45?
My legs hurt.
So, not easy.
It's downhill.
Michael's really adamant of maintaining the easy. Ooh, almost back. We hit 52 kilometers now.
Oh boy.
So,
You see I'm in that
Yep.
video too.
yeah. Dad
You're like, hey.
was here the whole time. He just got cropped out of some of the videos somehow.
Video.
Yeah.
Until the end. Kind of like the
53 kilometer day. Not sure on the elevation, but probably like lots. 2200 or so. Yep, and okay, it is 2204. And let's see. 17 it turned off. 17 hours, 58 minutes, and 50 seconds.
baby. That is clutch.
The Cyclone challenge was as good as I could have imagined. I was physically ready, and I felt like I could have went further by the end of it. The ridge was difficult as expected, but we were able to make the traverse, and the down climbs were exciting but doable. The views were amazing the whole way through, with exposure to an ice field, albeit a small one, and a trail through some of the beautiful backpacking routes of Banff National Park. It was the culmination of so much planning and preparation, and we were rewarded for our efforts in the best ways possible. The Cyclone Challenge was a day of pure fun from start to finish, a day that I had dreamed of for 2 years, and still surpassed my expectations somehow. But I know that the completion of the Cyclone Challenge was only made possible by my respect for the difficulty of the trip. And although it actually seemed easy, this is one of my accomplishments that I am most proud of.
July 2nd, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, and this is our camp right at the base of the valley. Just had hot cereal breakfast, and we're deciding what to do. Either going to continue on to high camp, or we're going to go back because of my finger. But my finger looks about the same as it did yesterday, so I think we'll continue on to high camp.
July 2nd, we are packing up camp, just about ready to continue on our way to the high camp. Yesterday was really difficult, and we're thinking today will be less difficult.
Day 3 of the journey, and we're on the move again. This day should be a lot easier than yesterday. Downs Creek. We're gonna cross this with a bridge. Apparently the trail there is good, but it's just a bit longer. Nice meadowy area. Looking for a bridge to cross the Downs Creek. We found the bridge to cross the Downs Fork, and yeah, that's really good news, because well, as you can probably see, we would not want to just cross this river by other means. It's kind of freaking huge. And this thing is nice and new.
We had to go about a half mile up the river from where people used to cross, where the old bridge was before it got destroyed.
There's a nice trail after the bridge, which should connect us onto the main glacier trail.
Massive wall, huh?
At the glacier trail again. Kayla's just taking her time. We got some creek going here. It's not Dinwoody, but might try to just get water from it regardless.
Koi's down by the stream, getting water, so filtering it. And there's Kayla.
Pace today is really slow, which is kind of concerning because we've only had like basically flat sections, and it'd be nice for us to go fast because we have a lot of distance to cover, and we would like to have a nice rest at high camp before we make our ascent. Hopefully Kayla is able to go a bit faster on these flat sections, but she's really not happy with how heavy the bag feels on her shoulders.
Big granite cliffs.
Sure. Dinwoody Creek. Got a waterfall. Looks like there's some questionable weather over where we were yesterday, and all those lakes in Narrow Pass. After we get around this corner, we'll basically be at Big Meadows. Here comes Kayla. We are about 33 kilometers into the wilderness, and we still have more than something more than 10 kilometers until we make it to high camp. So we're far in. It's pretty amazing out here, just watching the terrain go from desert to high meadows to beautiful lakes to this great valley with a large, what is considered a creek, but some may call a river based on how fast it's flowing at this point. And these sheer granite cliffs that just seem to surround everything are very nice, and something that you don't get to see in Alberta. And we have made it to Big Meadows. Beautiful. You can see further up the valley to where we will be headed. Still no sign of Cataract Peak, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually.
Time for the next water stop, huh? Koi's going to do the filtering.
Completing the Cyclone challenge felt amazing, but now it was time to focus my efforts on something that I knew would not be easy, no matter how prepared I was. It was time to refocus on Mount Ball. After the Cyclone challenge, there was still too much snow to complete Mount Ball, but I kept in shape, with trips out to Lake Louise, taking on Aberdeen and Haddo in a 14-hour day that required glacier travel, which we did unroped with good snow coverage, and a speedy ascent of Mount Temple, which took 8 hours and 20 minutes, with an hour spent on the summit, our first 11er in the Canadian Rockies, and the easiest 11er you can do in the Canadian Rockies. Eventually the snow melted though, and on August 10th, 2020, year 1 of the COVID, Michael and I went back to Kootenay to start our second attempt of Mount Ball.
Okay, I don't think you can see anything. It is 5:15 a.m. August 10th, 2020, year 1 of the COVID. It's like very slightly raining. I locked the car. And Michael and I, it's kind of raining. And Michael and I are back to try Mount Ball again. Yeah, we've had a year to forget about Hafner Creek, so
I can't remember all the pain and suffering.
yeah.
We should hurry.
Yeah, so right now it doesn't seem that bad to us, even though it will be bad. Slowly lighting up. There's even kind of a trail here. It's 5:56. It's raining. Or above the creek. My pants. We've got to a pretty bad section now of the deadfall. GPS isn't sure where we are, so I can't really gauge our progress, unfortunately. Okay, this stuff is like really easy to go through, nice and open. You can see the actual head wall that way, and head wall. We went up over there. We've been probably bushwhacking for about 2 hours now. There are a lot of clouds. They aren't high enough. That's problematic. Okay, bushwhacking for about 2.5 hours now. hours, 1 minute from the parking lot. About 3 hours 44 from the water tower. And we're getting really close to the top of the head wall. 3 hours and 55 minutes from the water tower. 4 hours and 12 minutes from the parking lot. And once I get into this opening, I will be above the head wall. Everything is engulfed in cloud right now. Fucking sucks. Michael's having a really slow day. I'm not sure why. Finally accessing the karst pavement. It's like actually clearing up, so this is our chance. So we're approximately less than 600 meters from the top now. Finally at the waterfall. There's the buttress, and there's Mount Ball's Glacier. Okay, we're just at the top of the head wall now, marking the bad bushwhacking. It's been 12 hours, 5 minutes from the car. To the deadline. Why can't we be at the canyon yet? Holy shit, we're at Lake the Canyon. Oh man. This is fucked up. This thing is bleeding a lot. Michael's slowing down. There's the canyon. Oh, that one was kind of unstable. See, this is the decision fatigue setting in. Okay, it's 9:39 p.m. August 10th. And yeah, and we just finished Ball and Beatrice. We're just walking back to the campground now, or not the campground, walking back to the fucking car. We were the first car in the parking lot, and looks like we are one of 3 left. It's been 16 hours and 25 minutes by the time we finish.
We were able to do Ball and Beatrice in one day, but this was a truly brutal day. With almost a complete absence of trail, travel was extremely difficult. This is the kind of trip that really makes you question why you come to the mountains. The view from the top of Mount Ball was, in my opinion, otherworldly. At the time I wasn't sure that there was a better view than that. But was the 9 hours of bushwhacking, the loose rock, the cold, and some minor dehydration worth it? Surely there are trips out there with higher reward to work ratios. Couldn't I have planned something more similar to the Cyclone challenge? Oddly enough, when I think about Mount Ball, I think of it in a similar light to the Cyclone challenge. My memory is drawn towards the amazing scenery, and away from the long difficult hours to get there and back. Mount Ball undoubtedly holds a special place in my heart, and upon reflection of these trips, I see that the Cyclone challenge and Mount Ball, although both long days and both trips that I was really eager to do served different purposes for me. The Cyclone Challenge is something that I invented. I can comfortably say that we were the first group to do that route in that fashion. Without proper preparation, it would be difficult. But with proper preparation, it was easy and enjoyable. Most people I know would describe me as abnormal. I would describe myself as abnormal. Looking back, I think that the Cyclone Challenge is an expression of this abnormality. I am willing to put in a lot of work to do something that others won't typically do or think of. Not because anyone will care about it, because trust me, nobody cared about the Cyclone Challenge. I do it for myself, for the pure enjoyment that I will get out of it, no matter how pointless it may seem to others. There are many, many well-established difficult trips that I could have went on, but I went out of my way to research and design the Cyclone Challenge, and I can't see anybody else trying to replicate it ever again. On the other hand, Mount Ball is a trip that a few groups will do every year. The views are regarded as fantastic, but the bushwhacking is regarded as terrible, and this deters a lot of people from getting out there. People do Mount Ball, but a lot of times it is just to tick off the scrambles in the Canadian Rockies list of scrambles, and typically one of the last ticks. I had a fascination with Mount Ball well before I climbed a lot of other peaks which had good views and an interesting route, because I was convinced that the views from Mount Ball were absolutely amazing, a step above everything else. Mount Ball is an expression of how hard I am willing to work and how much I am willing to go through to get to somewhere that I believe will be truly amazing. Sometimes it is not about the journey, it is about the destination, and we will at times have to sacrifice happiness to get to the destination. Mount Ball is a testament to this.
It's about 11:25 and we are moving around Big Meadows. We are gonna pass through two more meadowy sections, the last of which will have the Klondike Creek, which we'll have to cross. We were taking close to the creek, looked us up, and we're having to get closer to the face to avoid these ponds and to avoid river crossings. We're back on main trail and pretty soggy. Nearing the back end of Big Meadows, a nice pond with good granite. We passed Big Meadows and we're back in forest. Today has been fantastic in terms of the lack of mosquitoes that there have been. Views have also been great. Here's the Dinwoody Creek. It's quite large right now. You know, we're not making good time. Pace is very slow, but we're taking lots of breaks, taking in the scenery. It's very nice. Raining ever so slightly again. We may camp before high camp, maybe like 200 meters below. Particularly happy with the weather, but Dinwoody Creek is beautiful. We have started to hear the thunder, so that's unfortunate. And we are given the first view of Cataract Peak. Gannett is getting the weather. Finally got that forecasted rain or hail.
Hailing and some big lightning.
Finally, the storm went over Gannett and It's beautiful. That's incredible. Wow. So here's Dinwiddie Creek. Beautiful. And looking towards Gannett. With Gannett, we're starting to see into the kind of Dinwiddie Glacier Valley, just to the left of West Sentinel, which is where we're eventually going to be heading up. Should be an interesting crossing.
We are finally at our first water crossing, so we're all gonna put on our water shoes.
There goes Coy, doing the first river crossing.
Ooh, this is cold. Actually, that looks pretty deep. How deep does this get though? Not too bad. Okay, not horrible. Feet going numb. And here comes Kayla.
After Michael and I completed Mount Ball, there were still a couple weeks of summer left, which gave me enough time to start thinking about other trips. A while back I read a trip report about Cataract Peak in Banff National Park, which would be a tough 2-day trip to a mountain that only had 6 registered ascents. I didn't think that I would be doing Cataract Peak that year, as I didn't have any backpacking experience outside of Peru. But after Irby and I went on a trip to do Mount Drummond from August 21st to 23rd, I was confident that I could pull it off. So on August 26, 2020, year 1 of the COVID, Kayla and I set out to do Cataract Peak.
11:32. What was it? Yeah, August 26th, year 1 of the COVID. 2020 for those of you who
Are uncultured and don't know.
Yeah. We're doing Cataract Peak. Cataract Peak. Yeah, so we need to get to the Mosquito Creek trailhead, which I do not know where it is. Pipestone River is 20.1, okay. We're gonna have more than 20 kilometers today then.
Oh god.
It's been an hour, 10 minutes. So that's good. We've gone 3.5 miles. Sun has come out, even though we're just in trees. But still makes it look nicer. Fish Lakes, that is us. Okay, trees are thinning out. Some awesome pink Indian paintbrush. Looks like we'll be basically in the meadows soon. That wouldn't be good. Yeah, we were supposed to cross, but they just never told us. Like, you can step inside the water. Whoa.
Man, that sucked. I was like, that rock is dry. It will maybe be okay.
Starting to see over North Molar Pass. Great views. Scenery continues to improve. Still can't see fish lakes. That one at far left, that's Cataract. That's a big boy, Kayla. Oh, you can see the glacier we'll have to cross. Anyways, you can see Cataract. There's Little Cataract, the left of it. Thinking about which route we should take up. So grooves on these boards. Wind's picking up. 16 kilometers from the parking lot now, and I assume that we should be coming up on Fish Lakes any time now. So I guess there's going to be a lower one. Spots to stop. Okay, Killa, break here. Get some water. Coming up to the lower Fish Lake. Okay, time to cross the Pipestone River. Ooh, Killa's right, it is cold.
I knew it!
Oof. Ow, small rocks. Ow. Ow! Kind of slippery. Bushwhack is not good. Maybe it'll be better if we go further into the trees. Back on trail, bitch! What? Back on trail, bitch! Yo, bitch! Jesse Pinkman, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're at the flats. Trying to make good time. And there's a giant tree here. Should be able to take across. That's fucking ridiculous. Going up the wrong way. You have to go around this thing, apparently. So I got psyched out. That river is in fact the only source of water, and we were supposed to keep following it. So now, fucking be later again. We have to descend into that thing. Did that extra elevation for nothing. Okay, this green patch near the river is where Vern almost bivvied, but apparently the ground was too wet. So we'll have to see. It sounds like this is a reasonable place to bivvy as long as it's dry. We have just chosen a bivvy site. We're climbing that tomorrow. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Okay, it is 5:32, August 27th, year 1 of the COVID. And we're about to start. It's like pretty dark right now, but the sun is technically coming up.
Yeah, it was darker when we woke up.
Yeah, woke up at like 4:15. And this knows where we are, yeah? Okay, so gonna say we're on trail and then start tracking. Oh, and yeah, we're doing Cataract Peak today. Sun's coming out a bit. I don't know how much you can see on the GoPro. The scree here is pretty loose, so that sucks. It's like the loosest shit I've ever dealt with. These are already good. That map there. I must say this is incredibly grippy. Don't you agree, Kayla? Kick your toes in for this one. Yeah, you want to get those 2 front spikes in. Yeah, this stuff looks good. Let me know if you like see a crevasse or something. Oh damn. Less than 400 meters to the top.
Oh, God, that's so cool. Coy's writing our names now. And the date.
What was it? saying goodbye to views from the summit ridge one last time. This left crampon isn't even on. Get on. Okay, let's hope this is better. Damn it, it did it again. Crampons coming off. Here, just come across this way to me so that if you fall on me. Or you can go up to that snow. Yeah, it's ice everywhere. My one crampon is not working. Okay, we're almost down though. This ramp sucks. Okay, descending nice and easy now. I'm gonna descend to that ramp. Here comes Kayla. Once we get to that snow, we're going down. And then the dangerous part of our journey will be over. The long physical grind will begin. Fuck. Okay, all this wet rock is extremely slippery. So we don't want to slip. Come on. For your other leg, grab onto my arm in case you slip. No. You good? It's about 2 p.m. now, so it's been about 8.5 hours since we started. Oh man, almost back at the river. We're back. Okay, it's 3:28, like 9 hours, 56 minutes since we started. And we're leaving the bivvy site now. It's gonna be a really long time if we make it out today. (7:08 p.m. and we still have 16 kilometers and 400 meters elevation gain left. There's North Molar Pass. Okay.
Goodbye, son.
Now it's all downhill from here. Fucking turn back.
There were a couple times on the ridge. Well, you were trying to down climb, and I was like, we better not fucking die.
Flashlight is on. I think it was a porcupine. I don't know where it went. Oh, yeah, it's here. It's running away. Hi.
We made it, Dad.
Made it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
Cataract Peak was an unforgettable experience. The scenery was fantastic, as one could expect. The route was interesting and full of danger, and it was physically demanding. A true challenge of our abilities. It felt like Cataract Peak was something that the past 4 years of going to the mountains had been leading up to. There was brilliant on-trail travel, difficult bushwhacking, some creek crossings. The route finding was complicated. There was loose rock, exposure, difficult moves on rock, some very simple glacier travel, physically demanding days, and the need to backpack. The mountains are complicated, and Cataract Peak exposes this. You can't really start to understand this until you spend a significant amount of time traveling in the mountains, off-trail, and through a variety of terrain. In a sense, completing Cataract Peak acted as confirmation to me that I had this appreciation for the complexity of the mountains. Once we started going up in the dark, things went off the rails very quickly, and I was forced to make a new strategy given what I had picked up from all my past experience. I am incredibly proud that Kayla and I were able to summit Cataract Peak. It pushed us harder than any trip had before. This was the first time that I found myself truly afraid in the mountains, and the only reason I know this is because when Kayla and I were on that ice patch and our crampons were coming off, once I was back to safety, I wasn't feeling concerned for Kayla. I was just relieved. But I handled the ice patch situation for myself very well. I didn't get flustered. I remained calm, and I adjusted my crampons when they started falling off. I didn't know that I had it in me to remain calm in these high-stakes environments, and perhaps I still wouldn't know that if I didn't go out to the mountains. For me, Cataract Peak was an expression of adaptability and resilience. After developing some of the skills necessary to travel in the mountains, I was out there with one goal, and the freedom to reach that goal in whatever way I saw possible. I think that this was the kind of adventure that I had been searching for so long, because after Cataract Peak, I strangely lost some of my drive to go to the mountains. Not in a bad way. I felt peaceful, satisfied with what I had done, and with the inner strength I knew I was capable of.
I see one.
Oh, you see one up here, Kayla?
Fuzzy caterpillar.
Oh.
GPS is saying things that are, well, it's saying that we're going further than what the route said. It has us at more than 40 kilometers into the wilderness now, and the trail is with GAN it's supposed to be 80 total, so It's gonna be a bloody long trip. This is easily the furthest into the backcountry that I have ever been. It's getting later into the day. Dad and Kayla aren't, well, Kayla's really not moving fast. Dad's doing decent, but I just hope we can get across the Gannett Creek at a reasonable time, and then tomorrow I'm probably gonna have to carry most of our stuff because Kayla and Dad are gonna be pretty tired. Back to more rain, but the mountain is getting noticeably closer.
Good. There's just crazy amounts of water here. Everywhere. Good for wildlife.
Lots of water. Sun's out, but it's still raining a little bit. Dad and Kayla back there. Oh, fuck, it's hot. I gotta find a place to take off this rain jacket. Dinwiddie Creek is raging. We are within 1 kilometer of Gannett Creek, which is good. Not yet 4. Hopefully make a camp at 5. Finally made it to Gannett Creek, but it's flowing pretty fast.
The peace from Cataract would not last. There is always more to see, and I knew that I was missing out on what the mountains could offer. To up my game, I would need to get into the realm of mountaineering, which entails glacier travel and climbing. Climbing can take a long time, as terrain is more dangerous, and only one person is typically moving at a time. Scrambling allows you to travel large distances and see a variety of sights in shorter periods of time. It is efficient, and I love that about it. So in the summer of 2021, year 2 of the COVID, I decided that I would learn how to do glacier travel, which although limited, still had decent freedom of movement. Including glacier travel in our trips would mean that days would start getting much harder, as we would have to start carrying safety gear with us whenever we wanted to go on a serious glacier. I came up with a long list of mountaineering objectives that I wanted to try that summer, which was laughably ambitious. We were going to give mountaineering a serious shot though, and though we would soon find out that the trips we were planning had success rates that were much lower than our purely scrambling trips, we still got to some amazing places, and it gave the times that we made the summits more meaning.
Yeah, this is actually more difficult than I thought it would be.
The smoke from the BC forest fires meant that we weren't going to be doing any of our longer trips for a while, but Kayla and I were eager to get out still. I was looking at routes in the Rocky Central Guidebook by David P. Jones, and saw a Class 4 route up the east ridge of Ptarmigan Peak, first climbed in 1911, with no other ascents that I could find on the internet. As I had done the mountain twice before, I thought this would be a good route to try out, since I had seen the view from the mountain so the smoke wouldn't be as big of a concern. Upon making it to the east face of the mountain, we were a bit confused about where the route up was supposed to be. But I picked an approximate line, and we started off with it.
It is very steep. Technically, yeah, it's probably only 4th class, but exposure-wise, I could see people trying to bring a rope. Not that they'd be able to have many placements. Have to be careful. Okay, we're gonna start heading up the Class 4 solid rock. Oh yeah, beauty. Tons of good solid holds here.
We eventually made it to a Class 5 slab section, where a friction move was needed to cross. The exposure was severe at this point, and a fall would almost certainly mean death. I felt good about the move though, and I made it. But Kayla didn't have as much length as I did, and she wasn't comfortable with the move. She stood there for probably 10 minutes, debating how to get across, or if she should go back down. I was starting to get pretty concerned at this point, trying to get her to grab onto the rope while I pulled her across. We didn't have trad gear, so we didn't have a proper rope system, and Kayla didn't trust me to pull her across, and it would seem that she would have to climb her way out of it. Eventually Kayla found an alternative route that went above the slab, which she felt okay with, and she made it safely. This was a huge scare though, and at this point it looked like there wasn't any going back. The access to the downclimb would be extremely difficult and dangerous, so we would need to make it to the summit. This was clearly not a Class 4 route. Mountaineers in 1911 were hardcore, and the mountain could have changed a lot in the 110 years since the original route was put up. On top of this, the face of the mountain was very complicated, and all we had to go off were 2 lousy pictures of a very approximate line. Things went relatively smoothly for a while, though.
What, that ridge is fun? But is it easy fun? Oh, yeah, this is good. What? This is pretty good.
We eventually made it to a pinnacle, almost at the top of the ridge, and there didn't seem to be any easy way around it. I thought that the route might be to go up and over it, so I tried going up. It was much more difficult than it seemed from the bottom, and there was one point where my arms were starting to get tired, since my pack was like 40 pounds, and I had to lean back at times. With each passing second, there was more chance I wouldn't be able to downclimb to a resting spot, and I was unsure what the next hold was like, if I went for the next move. I went for it, and it turned out fine. It looked fine, but these things are sometimes difficult to tell. Upon reaching the top of the pinnacle, I saw that I could not go down the other side, so now I had to make it down this pinnacle somehow. I went down a different route, which although easier, was far more exposed, and had a kind of small overhang just before the ledge that you end up on. But strangely enough, my mind did not process that there was a great deal of exposure until a month or so after the trip. In the moment, I was so dialed into the climb that all I could think about was the next move to make. After making it safely down the pinnacle somehow, we decided on a narrow ledge leading to a flake, both of which had significant exposure. I don't think that the gravity of the situation that we were in really hit until a month or so later, when we had a chance to really reflect on what happened. The odds of something bad happening weren't necessarily high, but they were a bit too high for comfort. The east ridge of Ptarmigan Peak is a kind of experience that I don't ever want to repeat, but it still has tremendous value to me. It exposed me to the importance of trust. Sometimes it is okay to give up control to those you trust, even in high-stakes environments. It showed me this in a brutal fashion, but it was at least impactful. It also showed me firsthand how you can get caught up looking in the trees, instead of viewing the whole forest. In my situation, it was good to look at the trees, because it meant I didn't freak out. But it shows that in everyday situations, we can get caught up in small details, and miss something huge that is actually right in front of us, if we're willing to expand our minds.
Okay, at Gannett Creek, I found a way across, and now I'm just going to be hauling all the stuff across. It's really not too bad. Now, this is the hardest section. It flows fast, but it's not very deep. It's very cold though. Okay, trip 1 complete.
Crossing the river with my pack.
We're crossing Gannett Creek. It is cold. Coy has shuttled our backpacks across. Thank you, Coy.
Coy, yeah, put that down and then wait for Kayla. You go ahead.
Okay.
Now just wait. Wait for Coy.
I really don't want to wait, Dad. Can I please go? I feel fine.
Hurry. Just wait. Hurry up, Coy.
Fuck.
You're gonna help.
I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm fine. I'm completely okay.
What am I doing?
I don't need help. I don't need help. I'm fine. I'm completely okay.
Okay. Above 10,000 feet now. 4:47. Probably make camp at 5 or 5:30. 5:02 p.m. We've decided to make this our camp spot. We're gonna wake up really early and do the rest of the approach and then get on with the ascent.
Hell yeah.
Probably gonna start at 1 a.m. Not a very big breakfast, if any breakfast at all. Yeah, we had nine and a half hours today. Felt very long, but there aren't too many mosquitoes here right now, so I'm pretty happy. At camp, getting ready for the Ascent tomorrow. Kayla, have any thoughts on day 3?
You know what? It wasn't as bad as yesterday. I was still pretty tired, but I think you could tell I was in a good mood because I was singing really loudly while I was filling up water.
Yes, Kayla got happy at the end when we were at camp.
We were finally at camp.
Dad, thoughts?
Well, broke my record
For
backcountry camping.
How much time?
yeah.
Well, before this trip, my record was about 21 hours when we did Joffrey. So we went in about 11 in the morning and came out about 7.
Yeah.
Today, it's been 2 days, just over, isn't it 7 o'clock? Because we started at 7, so it's been 2.
7:10.
So I more than doubled my
Yeah,
record.
we've gone more than 48 hours now.
Doubled my record.
This will be record breaking for Chloe and I as well by the end of the trip. Probably,
Yeah,
right? 'Cause Brazeau was
pretty
3 days.
soon. By tomorrow, it will be, I think.
Crazy.
The smoke persisted a while longer. Kayla and I put up a smoky ascent of Mount French on July 28th, but there was no view. The smoke eventually cleared though, and we were eager to get out to one of the larger mountaineering trips I had planned for the summer.
It's 9:52 a.m., August 10th, 2021, year 2 of the COVID. Kayla and I are at what we think is the Ptarmigan Creek trail head, and we are going to try to climb Mount Brazeau and possibly other mountains. Okay, I already fucked up the route finding. That horse trail led us right to the creek, and then it disappeared. So, but we were able to see the actual trail, which is on the other side of the river. So we have to cross the bridge using the road here, then walk through all the Warden station, and then we're good. Okay, I think we're actually at the trailhead now. So, not a lot of information.
It's a hiker's sign.
Yeah, I know. But this is actually the trailhead, somehow. Ptarmigan campground, 7.6 kilometers away. I thought it was only 7. Damn it. Oh, this is gonna be a long day. It is so nice to be in the mountains without a bunch of smoke. I mean, we're just walking through forest and views aren't even good, but it's amazing. We found what we think are raspberries. So,
Does it taste like a raspberry?
yeah, it's raspberry.
That's so yummy.
Okay, apparently we've gone 6.4 kilometers on trail. And 1 kilometer to Ptarmigan. Ptarmigan campground, 50 meters. You want to take a break at the campground since it's only 50 meters away? Okay. Look how fancy this is. Holy shit. What the fuck? Okay, going back at it again. So, we're supposed to cross these 2 bridges and then look for a trail heading up this valley here. Here's the trail. If we can stay on what is relatively a trail for most of this, then we will be in business. pretty nice.
Yeah.
Nice waterfall. All these bushes are wet. Oh man, and they're all growing over the trail, so my pants are like soaked. Trail disappeared like a couple minutes ago. Valley's really wide here and it's pretty open. Views opening up a little bit as we're in the boulder field. How you doing, Kayla? Good. Been almost 3 hours now. Oh, beauty. You can see nice waterfall at the end of the valley. So you have to go above that waterfall to the right, I believe. There's a pretty cool tarn there. Not really on a trail, just making our way across the valley. Found a pretty big bear poop. Here comes Kayla. Nasty river. Got off trail and went a bit far, climbers right side of the valley, but now we're back on a trail. We are on to part 3 of the approach, the scree. We have 670 meters-ish to Swan Pass. Okay, so supposed to gain the ramp just over there before the water. So we're gonna have to start attacking it more straight up. About 240 meters to go. I'm really getting tired now. You can see onto the ice fields. Still like 130 meters to go. There were 3 or 4 raindrops, but it stopped. So that's pretty lucky. Okay, here comes Kayla up to Swan Pass. Kayla and I are at Swan Pass trying to find baby sites. I mean, we found tons of sites that have nice windbreaks, but we haven't found any water. Kayla and I are at camp. Kayla's setting up the tent, and I'm gonna go try to get some water from that small stream. It's quite chilly up here. Kayla's not wearing too much. Wearing almost everything because I don't want to freeze to death. So, we made some pasta. It was really bad. Pots are right there. Yeah, it's so freaking disgusting.
You can show them the pasta. I still have some.
Oh yeah,
Not
Kayla
very
has
much
some.
left.
It's not great.
It's really bad. It's the worst pasta I've ever had.
It stopped raining, but it's really cold still.
Yeah, we don't.
And I want to make more food, and I know we need more water,
Don't
but I don't want to do things.
I don't want to do anything. I don't want to leave the tent.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
We have no motivation to do anything.
Yeah. About 6 a.m. August 11th. Between the COVID, and weather is pretty suspicious right now. It's pretty dramatic, but I am not sure if we would get poured on. This cloud's kind of concerning, so we'll have to see. 6:37, Kayla and I are just about to get going. A bit windy, but sunrise views are pretty spectacular. Very cool. You can tell from this angle a lot better that the ice fall is a bunch of seracs and it's not solid ice. This is it. Main Brazeau ice field. Very cool. Prob slope is leveling out a bit, and starting to see more glacier. Scenery is beautiful. Terrain is quite steep. Looks like there's some bird friend up there. So soon we should be in to see the ice fall over there. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Oh yes, very deep, nice and blue. Let's take more pictures. Again. Very blue. This one actually looks familiar. I'm pretty sure this is one. It's on the way up. Oh, that is nice. Oh, I'm gonna get a picture of you like. Okay, we're back onto the lower ice field below the ice fall here. It's 8:05 right now. Kayla and I moved the tent because there was too much wind. Kayla, let's just see what's outside your door right here. Yeah, pretty crazy. Outside my door. Oh my gosh, whatever. Yeah, also pretty nice. This is a pretty prime, busy location at the Ascent. August 12th, year 2 of the COVID, which is 2021. And I'm sitting just beneath the summit of about a 2740 meter peak, waiting for the sunrise. The sun is finally shining onto me. Those lakes down there because they look cool, and also it was so cold that our stream froze up, so we don't have any way of getting water right now. Lake and the ice field really are beautiful. Starting to pack up now. Here's Kayla with the tent. Gonna miss this place. Just took off our shoes to cross the river. Waterfall section. This is it. The main trail.
Yes. Be there.
Holy shit. You can see the car again.
So close.
Yeah. It's 5:14 p.m. I gotta get the key out. Oh, it doesn't make the satisfying sound. Oh yeah. Oh yeah!
Mount Brazeau was the only longer mountaineering trip that I had planned to do that we succeeded at in the summer of 2021. But Mount Brazeau was a truly magical trip, and the summer of 2021 was oddly satisfying, despite not getting to most of the places we wanted to be. And I began to understand here that trips in the mountains are only partly about getting to where you physically want to be. The larger part is getting to where you mentally and emotionally want to be. The summer of 2021 brought me what I was looking for mentally and emotionally. It was a tough summer filled with excitement and challenge, and in the end, I still traveled on glaciers, navigating through crevasse fields. And I came to really appreciate that our time is finite. It is something that we all know, but perhaps we don't always think about. And when we do think about our time being finite, it is often in the context of exploring and trying as many new things as possible. But this summer, and Mount Brazeau, showed me that it also means that we need to aim to make our time on Earth quality time. You have to go into things knowing what you want to get out of them. There is always going to be another mountain to climb, but you can't climb all of them, and your purpose never should be to climb all of them. It should be what deeper meaning climbing some of them can give you. This provides an interesting dilemma about how you should spend your time. By diversifying and having many different hobbies, watching many different shows, and traveling to many different places, you can get a wider sense of what is out in the world. But by honing your skills in a single craft, rewatching and finding nuance in a handful of shows, and looking for a more complete picture of a single area or culture, I think that you truly begin to understand the complexity of the universe. And when you find this complexity, truths about the world and about yourself are revealed to you, and you grow on a mental and emotional level.
"12:58 a.m., July 3rd, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, and we're getting ready to leave our camp to try to summit Cataract Peak. Just about 11,000 feet, and just going through snow and boulders right now. We made it off the glacier trail. Slow progress in the boulder field. Oh, you okay, Dad? Some of these things are very large. Beautiful rocks though. This granite and stuff is really nice. Getting roped up. About 3:30, Jeff dealt with the whole rope problem and we're finally moving again, but the weather is utter shit. Hopefully clouds clear by the time we hit the summit, and hopefully snow conditions will stay good.
Well, going back, we were on the glacier up there. I don't even think you can see it. About an hour ago, pouring rain and then some crazy lightning. That basically you saw huge lightning and then a crazy boom instantly. About 3 or 4 of those. So we got off the glacier to the rocks, to the edge of the glacier, but then we got another big lightning and boom right after it, and it was still pouring rain. Still couldn't see the stars. It was about 3:30 in the morning, so it's just not safe. So we were fortunate that we didn't get struck by lightning standing on the glacier with our ice axes. Lightning right there, so it's disappointing since we had to, hike in so far, 3 days to get here, and then we're literally about 3 hours from the summit when the lightning storm hit us. And now we can't wait it out because we don't have food for extra days.
Decided to turn around. This really sucks, but I will climb this mountain sometime this summer.
July 3rd. Lots of water. There's a lot of beautiful glaciers up there, but it was dark so you couldn't see.
I think that one of the toughest lessons that you learn from mountaineering is how to live with failure. We drove more than 1,000 kilometers away, hiked in more than 40 kilometers over the course of 3 days, and a lot of that for me was with a 70-pound pack, and ultimately we were turned around maybe 3 or 4 hours from the summit by a lightning storm on what really looks to be shaping up to be a beautiful day. But you just have to live with giving it your best and you can feel good about the effort that you put into it. And the journey isn't over. We still have 40 more kilometers of beautiful scenery in a place that is very new to us, and I am going to be back later this year to finally summit this mountain.
Scheduling issues and more smoke meant that Kayla and I would only get out for one more larger trip that summer, and we decided that we would try to climb Mount Balfour in a single day, starting from Takaka Falls. We knew that this would be a brutal day, and that there was a good chance we wouldn't summit. It was tough as expected. We started off with difficult bushwhacking for the first 3 hours, until we got above Takaka Falls. We continued the long plod-on moraine towards the Fairy Glacier, complicated by fresh snow. After 6 hours we were on the glacier, where my blister issues from the whole summer would continue to act up. We made it to the top of the glacier, getting close to our turnaround time, and decided to drop packs to move quickly on the ridge to the summit. 2 crows immediately went for our supplies, and started tearing into the food that I left out, and they ripped into Kayla's bag to retrieve buns that Kayla was carrying. After about 8 hours, we were on the summit ridge, in a whiteout, and we decided that we would call it a day, about 200 vertical meters below the summit.
We made the decision to turn back. The snow conditions were just shit, and my crampon just came off. You assholes! Oh my gosh. They got into everything. I think they got the bread.
Shit, they really ripped that bag.
We walked out the remaining 7 hours essentially without food, trying an alternate descent route which avoided most of the bushwhacking, but had larger route finding issues.
Came around like this, went up here,
God.
then went down, up on the ridge, came up, cut across, and then it's kind of confusing. Basically came up this way, and then what the shit?
Yeah, see, I'm a little confused about
It came
this.
up here, I guess.
I think so.
And then went back down. Yes.
Then we went.
And then
That must be the peak. And then back.
wait, no, just here.
The day was long, so much went wrong, and we got turned around so close to the top. But this has always been viewed as an excellent outing in the beautiful Yoho National Park in my memory. Before we went on this trip, Kayla and I knew that we were not going out to make a summit. I mean, we were, but that wasn't our main goal. We were going to see how far our bodies could carry us through a new and exciting area to us. And so we were content even though we didn't make the summit. I think that this last big trip of 2021 perfectly summed up what we had learned about what makes a trip in the mountains meaningful.
Time to go home. Beautiful valley. Yeah, but very wet though. Klondike Creek. Cataract Peak. Dinwiddie Creek. Dad with Dinwiddie Creek. Entering Big Meadows. Still going around Big Meadows. It is, in fact, big. It's 1:20 and we're at the end of Big Meadows. Still have a long way to go. Dinwiddie Creek flowing into this canyon from Big Meadows. Back at the waterfall section. Made it to Downs Fork at 2:57. We're on the trail again, trying to get to Star Lake. Made it to the end of these switchbacks at Star Lake. This is where we're gonna camp. At Star Lake Camp. We're going 3 people to a 2-person tent because we only have a 2-person tent and a bivvy, and there are really bad mosquitoes, and also I don't know if the bottom half of the bivvy works either. So thoughts on how day 4 was?
I just need to comment on this 3 people in a 2-person tent. You and Dad are both really big, I think, in general for a 2-person tent, so this is like even crazier.
I thought it was good, other than the big thing that we couldn't do Ghana.
Yeah.
But
that sucked.
For the hike out, I thought we were pretty successful.
Yeah, this last little bit coming up was really tough.
Yes. Actually, you know what? I felt a lot better for most of the coming up of this because I took an ibuprofen and my feet, they hurt way less. They almost didn't hurt at all while I was coming up, whereas the whole day, it was like my feet hurt so much.
And I've mentioned the ibuprofen before, right?
Well, yeah, that was for my shoulders though, and my shoulders did still start to hurt while we were coming up on this, but yeah, anyways, it is what it is. Ibuprofen is really good, that's the lesson learned.
Okay then.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, not great that we didn't get to do Gannett, but we had really good views for basically the whole time.
Yeah.
So it was a good day.
Yeah.
We'll be back for Gannett.
Yep.
We should. And how about we talk to the one guy that's on his way up?
It's his 8th attempt.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's a mountain person. Like, he's going to be here.
Yeah.
So this is his 8th time trying to do Gannett. He's here for a week, and he's going to try to do Gannett, and he's going to climb other mountains in the area. So he knows what he's doing in that. It's his 8th time here. He's never made it.
Yeah.
There's just so many unforeseen things.
And a lot of people that we've run into, they're like, oh, like it took me, this is my 2nd attempt. It's like I finally did it or whatever, so.
Yeah, I thought that the first time going through, I was pretty sure we weren't going to make it because it's hard. And I didn't know if you guys knew how hard it was. But I thought that time number 2 would be a success. So we'll see.
But if the weather was good, like...
Yeah, then we would have had a very good shot.
I think we handled it like a champ.
Yeah, I was honestly very surprised how far we got.
Really?
Yeah, like after the first full day, I would have said our chances were 50%. And then after our second full day, the night before, no, not even that, halfway through our second day, when we hadn't even done the river crossings, I told Kayla I thought our chance was 70% because I wasn't sure of the river crossings. Then once we got to camp, I think I said 90%. You know, it's just going to be it's only going to be a weather or trail conditions that stops us. And
weather.
It was weather because we were there. We were at for us, almost the most straightforward or easiest physical part for us.
Yeah. Bullshit. Bro, you probably were really concerned on like the
first full day.
Yeah, when I was crying.
Oh my gosh, we were going like, I was really concerned because we were moving so slowly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the second day is like long.
Yeah, Koi, it was so funny. And you were like, only 600 feet left. And I just burst into tears.
I almost committed a felony.
What?
I almost committed a felony against my bag.
Oh yeah, you did. Dad, I was watching that happen. You pulled that thing off so hard and then it broke and you're like, this is broken now. I was like, oh my god, I wonder why.
Well, first I tried to unhook it. There's so much fucking shit on that one carabiner, so I tried to unhook it and then I'm like, fuck! And then I was like, whoops.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I'm sure you were like, holy shit.
I was like, oh my god, things are not looking good. Tomorrow, like forget about the fact that I've just been crying and have not been, having a good time. But Dad is pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about I should try to discreetly pull Koi aside and be like, so Dad's really mad.
I could tell that you guys weren't feeling too great that day.
But that last bit, the back of my bag with that Adidas shit, fucking hitting me in the eye, like swinging like this, and then it was pulling it, like it was horrible, like it was, so that's what, but we fixed the Adidas thing for the second full day, and that made a huge difference.
Yes, you were way happier after that.
Yeah. This is the 5th day of the journey, and should hopefully be the last day. We still have to make it back up to Arrow Pass, and then head out. Long day ahead of us. Last night my finger was really bothering me, so I got Dad to poke it with a bobby pin, and this kind of greenish pus came out, so it's definitely infected, but it feels a lot better now. Double Lake. Looks nice. Arrow Pass. And we're finally looking out of the Wind River range. Here's the spot we camped at the first night, and we are getting closer to the land of the desert. Oh, the parking lot. Well, we did it. Well, I mean, we didn't really do it because of the lightning, but we finally made it out of, out off the trail. I think that after all this time in reflection, I finally understand the deeper reason I love the mountains, why I'm willing to deal with the brutal physical exertion and subject myself to dangerous situations. Simply put, when I'm in the mountains on a challenging and exciting trip, I'm so emotionally involved with everything going on that my personality, unaltered by any external pressures from society, is what shines through. The mountains tell me what it means to be me, and to live for myself. And in this state of high emotional involvement, any lesson that can be learned from my trips is going to have a higher chance of sticking with me. The mountains, in a sense, help me to understand how I can live my best life. And over the past 6 years, I have changed a lot. Kind of. I have changed to become more myself. I first learned of Gannett Peak around 2018 or 2019, while looking at Google Maps for mountain ranges in the US I could travel to the summer after I would graduate. Gannett Peak stuck out,
and has had my attention ever since. It's the highest mountain in the Wind River Range of Wyoming, a range which probably doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. The route is incredibly remote, and takes you through a variety of terrain present in the range. If you've ever drove in the mountains of western North America, you'll see how the terrain changes so drastically due to rock formation and weather patterns, giving each mountain range you pass its own unique signature. To undertake such a long trip in a new area so far away that would be different from what I was used to, and that I had been waiting for so long, would have to be the adventure of a lifetime, and I would be left with a greater appreciation of life. Though I wasn't successful on my first attempt, the adventure was still there, and the experience was still amazing. Turning around more than 40 kilometers away, 2 days into the backcountry, when you are a couple hours from the summit, should be a difficult thing to process. But climbing these mountains, you realize that your journey never really ends. I still had a beautiful 2 days out, and I would get another attempt of Gannett. This was just another obstacle to overcome in the larger scheme of things.
July 24th, year 3 of the COVID. We are in Pinedale, gonna start going to Gannett Peak. Should be a 3 or 4 day endeavor. Should be interesting. We drove all night. We left, Kayla worked yesterday until 5 p.m. We left the house at 6 p.m. and we basically, well, I drove all night until we got to Jackson. And then Coy drove from Jackson to Pinedale.
4:25 p.m. July 24th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. Kayla, Dad, and I are at Elkhart Park in Wyoming, getting prepared to do Gannett Peak. I have no doubt that we'll make it this time, which isn't to say that it will be easy,
Or that we will make it.
because it will probably be the hardest trip we've ever done, but I think we are ready for it this time. Officially in the Bridger-Teton National Forest now. Intersection to Miller Lake. This is a nice open area. Yeah, it's 6 p.m. Been going 24 hours on the trip. Started driving 1 day ago. And we're already an hour and a half onto the trail somehow, because of Dad's heroic driving through the night. Crossing through more meadows on the way to Photographer's Point. Well, this is Photographer's Point. A nice little pond here. Nice look towards the heart of the range, which is where we're going to be headed.
All the mountains.
At the turnoff, we're going towards Seneca Lake. I believe this is Barbara Lake.
Coy, this huge pack. Kayla with her pack.
Another good Wind River viewpoint. I've made it to Hobbs Lake, which is our planned camping spot for tonight. We have to set up our camp. And we're cooking food. Woke up this morning to a moose. 2 moose actually. Don't know how much you can see on the GoPro.
It is July 25th, year 3 of the COVID, and it's like probably about 7 a.m. now. We're just about to leave our campsite at Hobbs Lake. We're gonna head to Seneca Lake to have breakfast, and eventually we'll make it to the Titcomb Basin.
7 a.m., July 25th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID. And we just packed up and we are moving on towards Seneca Lake.
July 25th, started day 2. About 7 in the morning or 7:30. Okay.
Pond on the way to Seneca Lake. Dad and Kayla are at the backside now. Looks like another pond on the way to Seneca. Fucking beautiful area. It's just difficult because lots of, I guess, up down in these places.
Nice reflection.
Well, there's first look at Seneca Lake.
At Causley Lake?
Seneca.
Seneca Lake. Seneca Lake. Close.
Not sure where Causley came from.
It's bright out. It's nice that we're taking a different approach this time around, since I mean the other side is beautiful, but we just get to see more of this amazing mountain range.
We are stopped here at Seneca Lake, eating some breakfast and getting some water.
This is a different lake?
Little Seneca Lake. Just did a bunch of elevation gain on our way to Island Lake. Looks like we might start losing it.
Lots of up and downs. We just climbed to a pass, and I can see that the trail goes down in the valley.
Still on our way to Island Lake. And there is the first view of Island Lake. Oh, there's the view into Titcomb Basin, probably. Still looking at Island Lake with Quartz Peak over there.
Finishing up our rest at Island Lake.
On the move again. Making our way around the south side of Island Lake. Kayla making her way towards the Titcomb Basin.
Nice, huh?
Yeah, really nice. There is the inlet to Island Lake. Made it to the intersection, so there's about 3.1 miles left to the end of the lakes for Titcomb Basin. Pretty nice. Damn, so close to getting the first real view into Titcomb Basin. It's a tiny lake. Titcomb Basin. Here is dead Kayla. Very beautiful.
the first Titcomb Lake.
What a view into the Titcomb Basin. There's a second lake there. Second lake of Titcomb Basin. Lots of people here. Second Titcomb Lake. And third Titcomb Lake. Trail isn't as good around the third lake. We are now beyond the third Titcomb Lake and basically just have to find a campsite. Camp by the water there. Lots of sheer granite cliffs.
We're at our camp. Koi's going for water. This is our, what camp's this called? My camp, I guess.
Dad is pumping water here. I just finished pumping about 2.4 liters. And now we are preparing to cook food and set up the tent and whatnot. Going somewhere up there tomorrow. I think, like with most things in the world, people don't really understand how complicated mountaineering is. I mean, we have to like fucking pump water out of the stream and it takes forever just to be able to drink safely, and it's a lot of weight to carry in food. Even just camping at 10,600 feet, well, we're a bit higher, maybe 10,700. It's pretty tough. We're exposed to the sun and it's not easy to get shade. If you put up your tent, then you're just going to be baking in there. But it is a very rewarding experience, and feeling pretty tired and a bit dehydrated right now, which isn't great because tomorrow we have possibly the hardest day of our lives thus far. But I think we'll make it.
I've wanted to share my experiences in the mountains in the form of a long film for a long time now. I've often thought of my life as a movie, though only in the context of montages with breathtaking visuals. Without a large conflict to overcome, the story within a movie cannot have a clear ending though, and you would be left just watching a series of meandering events. But as I've come to understand, and what is visible in my first attempt of Gannett, is that life is just a series of meandering events. There are not always gigantic conflicts to face, and we can still learn and grow from these events. I have. So there is still something to draw from my experiences. And yet, in many ways, I do feel like this is the ending of an era. For so many years, I've been pushing the boundaries on what was physically, technically, and mentally possible for me, and I did so in a self-led fashion. I would rarely seek out help from those with more experience than me. For the most part, I had no mentor or friend to take me out to the mountains and teach me the tricks of the trade. Almost every time I stepped out on a trip to push my boundaries, there was no safety net of having a person coming along who had done something like that before. The risk was on me. During my time climbing Gannett, I realized that with this drive to create my own adventures came an emotional maturity which wasn't what I was looking for, but was perhaps what I needed all along. I am no expert mountaineer, but the things that I've done are not easy either, and looking back, I think it's pretty amazing that I made it to where I am on the path that I chose. I am very content with who I am, and I think that a large part of this is because the growth I've experienced leading my own trips gives me the feeling that I really can do so much that I put my mind to. But I think that I am at a place where the drive to lead is no longer necessary anymore. I've taken what these experiences had to offer, and it is time for me to have new kinds of adventures now. Don't get me wrong, I still love the mountains, and I don't think that anything will ever change that. But I think that I have proven to myself what I needed to, and maybe it's time to give someone else the reins on our trips. Kayla is a climber, and has taken a course in wilderness first aid. Moving forward, she will possess skills that are crucial for our trips. We already have an amazing bond, and healthy trust and respect, but I think that giving up control to her at times can only bring us closer together, and will help me learn about the true nature of trust. I don't know for sure what the future has in store for me, but I can head into it with confidence that the past few years have given me the mental and emotional strength to thrive in whatever comes next. So maybe this is an ending of sorts. Maybe it isn't. In this exploration of why I climb mountains, maybe you'll pick up on some of the lessons that I have learned. Or maybe all I have to give you is the idea that there are lessons to be learned. And as long as we reflect on our lives and try to be the best versions of ourselves, our journeys will never truly end.
It's 2:11 a.m., July 26th, 2022, year 3 of the COVID, and we're going for Gannett. There is Gannett. You have to get up that.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day.
And there is Gannett across from us. We have to go down 400 meters. We just went up Monty Pass.
The fire will burn and never die. Looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow.
On the way to the Gooseneck Couloir.
Don't look back, we're here to stay. A life we knew would come one day. And this is it, the borderline to where the future leaves us behind. The fire will burn and never die. Looking through the eyes of a brand new life. And so just find me, just find me. Sparks will fly if we scream no. This is not how we're gonna go. We are the ones who will never let go. Just watch us run to where no one knows. We'll never grow. We'll never grow.
that's where the post holes are. And goes to. Our tent is flattened, so can't really see it. We are getting close to our campsite. Just past. Finally.
What a sight for sore eyes.
We made it back at the campsite, and it only took us a little more than 17 hours. That's called a win.
It's difficult to explain what it means to me to have climbed Gannett Peak. I can say that it was a dream many years in the making. I can explain the amount of planning and worrying that went on before the trip. The hours spent looking at weather forecasts. I can tell you about the obstacles we overcame. I can describe how beautiful it was, and I have in fact shown you the video footage. I can tell you that in a 28-day span we made 2 attempts of Gannett, with a total of 9 days in the wilderness, more than 165 kilometers traveled, and more than 5,000 meters of elevation gained. I can say that the ascent day was 17 hours long, and I was operating on 2.5 hours of good sleep, at elevations where the oxygen is 60 to 70% that of sea level, and I probably had COVID. But none of that can give you a true idea of what the experience was actually like. I find it interesting that no matter how much you hype up a trip to the mountains in your head before you go, the actual trip will always exceed your expectations. This is perhaps more true with Gannett than any trip I've been on before. When you're young, there are only a handful of times where you have a multi-month break from work and school, and after you graduate university is one of those times. You have to make the most of these breaks, and the common thing to do seems to be to travel. To Europe? To Asia? To South America? Far away from wherever you are. When I graduated, I planned to climb mountains. I would travel, but only within driving distance to see some of the other ranges in North America. On the top of my list of things to do, and far above everything else, was to climb Gannett Peak. Gannett Peak would have to compete against a month-long trip to a new continent, and I had full confidence that it would. The hype for Gannett was through the roof. But I could not possibly imagine how much better the actual experience of climbing Gannett would be than what I had hyped it up to be. Throughout this reflection of my past years in the mountains, I found that my major trips act as expressions of who I am, as well as ways I can learn lessons about life. And this helps to explain why Gannett is so meaningful to me. The Wind River Range in Wyoming is located in a national forest, not a national park, which means that there is far less advertisement and less tourism than you would expect for such a beautiful mountain range. As I talked about with Cyclone, I am abnormal. I typically do things most people won't consider doing, and the Wind River Range fits that energy. The lack of access into the range means that approaches are typically long. Our first attempt lasted 5 days, and we traveled 96 kilometers. Our second trip lasted 4 days, and we traveled about 72 kilometers. As you walk from the edge of the range towards the heart of the range, you witness a drastic change in scenery, and it is what you want in a lengthy approach. I enjoy long approaches because first and foremost, I am there to explore. I like seeing what the mountains have to offer, and the longer the approach typically means the more you get to see. This love of approaches stems from my curiosity of not just the mountains, but the universe in general. Gannett was the biggest challenge in the mountains that I was taking on to date, but at no point did I doubt I would make the summit before the end of the summer. There were a lot of challenges that we faced throughout our attempts of Gannett, but my mindset throughout our travels never became negative. I accepted the situations that we found ourselves in, and I tried to see what I could take away from them. This laid-backness and positive mindset is something I have in general, but it has also been strengthened through dealing with all of the challenges I have faced in the past, and it was brought out again with Gannett. Gannett Peak certainly acted as an expression of myself, and there is a lesson to be learned as well. The lesson that stuck out most for me while climbing Gannett is to enjoy the peace in not having to think about anything. During our ascent day, I was in a state of constantly thinking. Anytime we were actually moving, I would need to think about route finding, but even at our rests, I needed to take videos, I needed to set up rope systems, and take crampons on and off. Once we got back to the Dinwoody Glacier, there was a point where I stopped for 10 seconds and did nothing. Kayla looked over to me and asked why I wasn't setting up the rope system. I needed the mental rest. Sometimes your mind needs a break, and I'm going to enjoy these moments in everyday life where you can just let your mind wander and let go of everything going on around you. Gannett acted as an expression of myself and as a way that I could learn lessons about life. But what I was not expecting from Gannett was to see so clearly the growth of my climbing partners. Kayla and my dad both struggled so much on our first attempt. The fact that we made it as far as we did was an amazing feat of mental toughness. But to then go back a couple weeks later, after having such a difficult time on the first attempt, and to absolutely crush it, was something beautiful to watch. Kayla and I have been through so much together, and I know what she is capable of. It's inspiring to climb with her because she can sometimes wear her emotions on her sleeve. She often breaks into tears on our trips, but she always pushes through. I like to say that you can only be brave when you are afraid, and likewise, you can only show how strong you actually are when you feel defeated. Kayla always reminds me of what it means to be strong, and she did so again during Gannett. I had serious doubts that my dad would be able to do Gannett. His knees are not good, and last summer when we started glacier travel, he didn't join us for any of our successful trips, because his knees were acting up during that time. He didn't know what he was getting himself into when he signed up to do Gannett with us, but I wanted him to share in one of our mountaineering adventures before he gets too old. After our first attempt, there was serious doubt that he would join us for a second attempt, but we went back a second time, together, and finished as a team. It has filled me with so much joy to not only live out my own dreams, but to see how much this mountain means to all of us. It is amazing to watch the people that you love grow with you. We have shared what really seems to be an adventure of a lifetime. Reality is such an interesting concept. The universe exists as an uncountably infinite set of points in four-dimensional space-time, and each person's life consists of a one-dimensional line segment, weaving through the four-dimensional universe, picking up only the information that we can from our five senses. The idea that someone could comprehend reality is almost nonsensical, as our experience does not even exist in the same amount of dimensions as that of the universe. But as intelligent beings, we are gifted with the ability to focus beyond survival, and the idea of what reality is, and our connection to it, is quite literally all that we are left with to explore, as it is all-encompassing. Society is strange, though. By taking away the difficulty of survival, our lives are opened up to a vast array of opportunities, but we so often follow down common paths, and we end up comparing the paths that we are on to those of others, even though they are usually quite similar. In a world of endless opportunity, we have been setting barriers for ourselves, which act against us trying to answer the great question of what reality is, and what is our connection to it. From a physical standpoint, I think that the mountains help us explore the world in an extremely efficient fashion. In comparison to the rest of the world, the mountains have a vertical variability, which allows for a huge variety of terrain in relatively small areas. In the Canadian Rockies, we are subject to forests, meadows, canyons, cliffs, rivers, lakes, waterfalls, glaciers, wetlands, and the various wildlife that comes with these features. The exposure to the various terrain present in the mountains can give you a large appreciation for what is out there, in a small amount of time. But the mountains mean more than what they are physically. I believe that trips in the mountains are one of the purest expressions of self. When you get to the mountains, your travel is only inhibited by your own imagination and skill, giving you a meaningful sense of freedom. You can go wherever you want, but your travel can be difficult, so you are forced to make meaningful decisions of where you want to go and how you wish to get there. The amount of planning that you do, the types of risks that you are willing to take, and your ability to adapt from the plan all speak to how you would navigate situations outside the mountains, and so your trips are an expression of your personality. No two trips to the mountains will ever be the same, even be it trips with the same route, completed by yourself. The mountains are in a constant state of change, and so are you, and your differences to others are also highlighted in your experiences in the mountains. I think this nicely highlights the relationship between reality and perspective. No matter how many people go out to the mountains on new routes or old routes, nobody will ever completely agree on their experience. Each trip is its own unique entity, and the mountains are only ever understood through the scatter of trips by individuals. But the small portion of the whole of the mountains that we do get to see alludes to an expansive beauty which we can never truly understand. All that we can comprehend about reality comes from our own perspective. But what we do pick up from this perspective foreshadows a complexity out of reach and beyond what is imaginable. Furthermore, when you embark on a major trip in the mountains, every external connection that you have fades away, as all you can focus on is the beauty of the surrounding area and your plan to survive the next couple seconds to the next couple days. You are stripped down to who you fundamentally are as a person, and this is reflected in all that you do. When you are one small move away from death, there isn't time to think about how your skill compares to that of others, how your friends would look at you if you fail, or if you are too ambitious and possibly cocky choosing to do such a difficult route. All perception is lost under the immense focus required to choose and execute your next move. And this provides clarity about who you are as an individual, upon self-reflection after your trips. The realization of your authentic self can be brought back from your trips, and used to live a life that is more free of the external modifications that society would normally make on our lives, via societal norms. And I think that having the mental freedom to act uninhibited by the unnatural boundaries that we have been accustomed to growing up with civilization is what will bring us happiness. This isn't to say that society is the enemy of our happiness, because the ease of survival that it provides allows us to have an enriching intellectual experience. But broadening your perspective to have a better idea of who you are allows you to plot a course through the constructs of society that equates to a life that is significant and meaningful to you specifically. So on the surface I go to the mountains to explore, to peer into the ever-changing and incomprehensible beauty of reality. But in a deeper sense, I go because at times I will find myself in situations that define who I am at the core, and give me a deeper appreciation and understanding of my nature, and my connection to reality. And though we will likely never understand exactly what reality is, I think that we can appreciate the relationship between reality and our own perspective, and the mountains help us to do this. I think that when we do appreciate this relationship, we find a deeper respect for each other, for the world, and for ourselves. So I close, acknowledging that I can never grasp the extent of reality. I know only my perspective, and in seeking out the truths of the universe, I find beauty in my existence.